Hi, this is Alondra.
And hey, this is Dio.
Just two ladies trying to find clarity
in this fucked up shit we call life.
And boy, do we have a lot to spaz about.
We're going to discuss a variety of topics,
ranging from pop culture to politics,
from a Gen Z perspective.
Our opinions are informed from our lived experiences
as two inner city, bold,
brilliant,
badass bitches.
And whether you agree with us or not,
just know we still have the right to spaz.
Okay, everyone, and welcome back to the Right to Spaz Bitch, why the fuck you looking at the camera like that?
I couldn't tell we were recording or not.
I said we were gonna. Girl, fuck you freezing. Okay, we're good. Welcome back to the Right to Spaz podcast. I'm Alondra, and this is...
Hi, my name is Dio.
And this is the podcast where we spaz about pretty much everything. So, Dionelys, how's your week been so far?
Well, it just started. It's Monday. But so far, so good, I guess. I think I like my Monday schedule.
I mean,
I'm not gonna lie. It's not a bad start to the week.
We released our first episode today. How do you feel about
that?
Yes,
we did. That was nerve-wracking.
It was nerve-wracking.
That was nerve-wracking.
I'm proud of us. I feel like we've been doing this for, about a year or something that this has been in the works. It's been all talk of like, oh, we're going to do a podcast. And now we finally did it.
Every time on FaceTime, somebody does this podcast. Yo, and then it was crazy. We had a name, and then we lost it because somebody else had it. So then just coming up with a name, like we were getting ready to start, but then we couldn't come up with a name, and that's what held us back even more.
Yeah,
I still get tricked. I still get PTSD when I hear it.
No, literally, when one weekend Dionelly came to sleep. This was literally the last semester, around October, September. Dionelly came over to my house.
It was around the last semester.
And we were supposed to record the intro, the first episode, and that's when we found out that the person had our name. And I would never forget. We was in the bed trying to come up with names, and it was so bad. We both fell asleep. We both just took a nap.
We fell asleep.
We were so stressed out. I'm like, Dio, what about this name? Nah, that's whack. Alondra, what about this? No, I don't want no curses.
Woke up saying names. I left that weekend with no name.
No name, no podcast episode, nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, so
it's too dumb.
Do you think this is a new preference, or you've always had this preference?
No, I've always had this preference. This preference. It's always been my type. I don't prefer above all, but if you look at the trend, if you look back at my history and you see, they all have something in common, and most of the time, they're chubby, chubbier than, they're thick.
I don't know. When I think about preferences,
if he ain't chubby, he ain't hubby. Period.
That's a saying.
Yes, it is. It is a thing.
Oh, I was about to say, you came up with that shit. You better coin that.
That's the thing. I got it from Instagram.
Well, what I was going to say about preferences, because I always wonder when it comes to them, is it natural or learned? Because when I think about my preferences, like you said, it's not something that I'll say I prefer over the other. It's just something that for some reason I've always seemed to be attracted to. But they're not deal breakers either. So, for example, it's always you got to be taller than me and have facial hair. But, they're not deal breakers. If the person's not taller than me or not have facial hair,
But I would if we was at a Build-A-Bear. If this was Build-A-Bear, I'd
Exactly. So, but I always when I think of it, I'm is it something that's natural, or is it a learned preference?
I feel if we lived in a perfect world, then it would be natural. But given the historical context of the society we live in today, it's learned. I don't even think it's learned, but I do think our environment kind of shapes has an effect. It molds it and it shapes it.
How so?
Some people, they grow up in some people, they have families that kind of enforce certain preferences, and sometimes you're either gonna abide by those preferences or you're gonna move outside of them.
Okay, so do you feel in the household that you were raised in, were there certain preferences that was forced on you?
I don't think it was forced, but they were kind of one of my parents would be búscate un blanquito que tiene dinero y esto y aquel otro. I'm just
translation.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
Get yourself.
Basically, get yourself a white guy.
Yeah.
They're gonna have money and they're gonna take better care of you, but it's not. I never really.
But do you?
I never really like. Oh, really? Like, oh yeah. Let me look who right. But no, I was just like, okay, whatever, weird.
But do you think that your parents saying like get yourself a white guy because they're gonna have more money? Because I feel like a lot of people say that. Do you think it was really that, or was it something else? Because like for me, in my household as well, because we're both Dominican and we were raised in Dominican household, and
Mhm.
who knows what that comes with. That was also forced on me of like getting with someone that's lighter than you, that's whiter than you, whatever the case is. But I've always felt like it derived from a form of self-hate, a form of anti-blackness. This idea
Yeah.
that get yourself with the white person because they're considered cuter, they're closer to perfect. I you know what I mean? So I feel like with you, do you feel like it was the same thing?
I mean, I think that's where it comes from. Because why else would they're gonna out of all races, you're gonna say get the white guy because he's the one that's gonna give you the money. Like if there's not black guys that get money or Dominican guys that get money or Puerto Ricans or Asians that get money, like you know what I'm saying? It's just like just because, and then it's also like because of the. It was also other things like my they used to perm my hair. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of like they were appealing to those Eurocentric like beauty standards. Like I had to perm my hair because that was what straight hair was just more preferred. It was more appropriate. It was prettier than having what's it? What they used to say my hair was? What's that? It starts with a G in Spanish. I forgot what it's called. Una greña. I think it was what they used to say about my hair. Like my mom literally used to say if you want to get your hair done, you got to perm your hair. And it wasn't until I got older that she was like, "Oh, you can do whatever you want with your hair." And then when I let my hair grow out or whatever, she was like, "Oh my God, it looks so nice." I was like, "Yeah, you ain't want to let it grow out."
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I experienced the same situation in my household where I was straightening my hair literally by like the age of 5 because they consider straight hair to be better.
Mhm.
Literally, it's just the upholding of white standards. This idea that anything that's white is better, it's prettier, it's perfect. And I think
Yep.
what it does, it's shown within our preferences when it comes to like who we're gonna date and the ideals that they force on us of like you have to date the white guy, or they'll tell the guys you have to date the white girl with the blonde hair, the blue eyes. Because also when you guys have the kids, so they can come out better. Like in our families, the kids that come out lighter with lighter hair, lighter eyes are considered the cuter kids.
Mhm.
So yeah,
But I
but
don't think it just comes from families either. I do feel like you remember back like in middle school there was the light skin versus dark skin challenge.
mhm.
Like that also kind of perpetuated those standards. But it's also like, do you think the media plays a part? Do you think they perpetuate Eurocentric standards of beauty?
I think the media always played a part. I think the media plays a part, especially when it comes Eurocentric standards of beauty, and also just when we even talk about preferences. Because like for example, my preferences I said was like, oh, like facial hair and he has to be tall. I honestly feel it was like because when I was growing up watching movies, is because the guy was always taller. Like that was like always the thing.
Yeah.
He had to have facial hair. It was seen more manly. But in the sense of Eurocentric standards of beauty, I think the media definitely perpetuates that. I mean, when it comes to the music we listen to, a bunch of the time the rappers, what are they talking about? The light skinned girl with the soft curly hair.
Yellow bonus, what he want.
Let's get into that conversation. The colorist preferences, that's what it is. No,
No,
seriously,
it
that's like,
is. It
no,
is.
like literally, even when it comes to when you watch films or movies or TV shows, like even when they have a black person in it, they're lighter skin. They have softer, curlier hair because they're.
And I also feel like with the those 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 effects they have, those filters,
Mhm.
they often make you look lighter than you seem.
Oh yeah, definitely. Those Snapchat filters,
Like,
absolutely, yeah,
and I always found that to be a little suspicious.
yeah. And I also think, especially when you say nowadays, like with social media, you see it in the comments. The
It's
kind
a breeding ground for all of that. But no, but let's talk about Dani Leigh
of okay.
for a second because I feel like people they don't take this conversation seriously.
Mm-hmm.
They think it's what I like. It's that just like it is what it is. I just like what I like. But it's kind of like sometimes you have to investigate that a little bit more because even though I say I don't have preferences, when I look at when I look at the trend and like the patterns in my love life, they kind of there's a trend there that I have to investigate too. And I don't consciously go when I'm like when I'm meeting someone or when I'm looking to meet someone, I'm not thinking like, oh, he has to have this, 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 third. But unconsciously, I'm I think I am because it's showing up in there's a trend. But I don't think when it comes to any of those isms, colorism, capitalism, racism, all that, if it's not obvious, people just won't get it. Like Dani Leigh in her song, "Yellow Bone is what he wants." Some people are saying, "Oh, what's wrong with that?" She's not putting anybody else down. Did she say this about black people, this about white people, this about? But it's kind of the fact of like she insinuates that. She said "Yellow Bone is what he wants," and then first of all, take the context. She was with the baby, who was not too long ago with his baby mother. First of all, and I heard it goes way before that. He was with his baby mom, then he was with Dani Leigh. They broke up. He got back with his baby mom, and now he got back with Dani Leigh. And now she want to come up with a song talking about Yellow Bone is what he wants. Why is Yellow Bone what he wants? Like, why did you feel the need to, out of all things, to talk about Yellow Bone? Like, what was it? What was the motivation? Why were you inspired to do that?
Well, girl, I think, because don't get me wrong, I feel like clearly she's very much oblivious to what she said was wrong. And then, like, her response to it was, like, I wanted to make a song for, like, the light-skinned baddies. But then I feel like we need to understand that the outrage shouldn't just go towards her. It should go towards the people that are putting this idea. All these black male rappers are making songs about that. So what the hell you gonna think? If that's what the black male rappers are saying, then she'll be like, all right, so I am what they want. Obviously, she has to take some form of accountability because, like, girl, in the world we live in, like, you should know that's wrong. Especially for what she said, like, let's make a song. I wanted to make a song for the light-skinned baddies. And then, like, people even using, but, like, we could have a song called Brown Skin Girls and no one says anything, which I feel like is two completely different things.
I hate when they do that.
Yeah, because Brown Skin Girls is a song created for people, a group of people that are constantly told that they're ugly, that they're not beautiful, that they're looking in TV shows, at films, in books, magazines, and they don't see themselves reflected. So if, like, that song was kind of used to create this safe space to kind of show dark-skinned black women, like, you are beautiful, you are valued, because in society they're telling you are not. I feel like in a society that already kind of upholds and values lighter-skinned women or white girls, like, I don't feel like there was a need to make a song called Yellow Bone is what you want. And not even that she used yellow bone, a term that just has a very negative history towards it. So it's just that, I think that to me was the problem. But I do feel like the outrage should have went on both sides. It shouldn't just be on her. It should be on the people, the men that kind of tell that these women are, they put them on a pedestal.
But I think also, like, her apology video, she's like, I have a black man, I have black friends, and I'm just like, I honestly feel like she doesn't understand what people are calling her out for. I really don't think she understands it. But supposedly somebody said that in middle school, they went to the same middle school, and I think they were like a Haitian person. And she had said something negative about them being Haitian or something like that. So allegedly. So I mean, even if let's say she did allegedly, like, she probably still carries. I mean, she probably still carries that mentality with her, especially with the song that she just came out with. But let's say that isn't true, and people are just talking to talk. It's still kind of like, I would still say, I just think she don't understand it. A lot of people don't understand it if it's not in their face and if it's not obvious. If you're not really saying, oh yeah, he wants yellow bone over red bone, he wants light skin girls over dark skin girls, then it don't register the same to people. And I also wanted to comment on.
Go ahead.
I also wanted to comment on. It's something you said. I lost it. I hate when I lose a point. Ask your question.
Okay, because I was gonna ask you a question. I wanted to ask you, do you feel like there was ever a time that you benefited from a preference? Like, do you feel like
I remember now.
Huh? Okay, go ahead, and then you can answer my. Okay, you froze. Okay, go ahead.
I know.
You can answer my question.
I remember now. What your argument on brown skin girls? I feel like I don't like when they want to be like, there's brown skin, but it's like you said, there's every time black people make a platform from themselves, then people want to start talking about, oh, y'all creating the division, y'all being creative, y'all not being inclusive. But it's like, y'all don't include them anywhere else. So when they try to create their own platform, their own art, their own music, their own style and stuff, y'all want to say they're not inclusive, or you want to appropriate it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree with that, because when people try to say that whole shit of like even what she said, I want to make a song for the light skinned baddies, and people try to bring up the brown skinned girls. To me, that was like a all lives matter type of shit, like type of comment. The idea of like, oh well, like brown skinned girls, well lighter skinned girls matter too. Like, you know what I mean? But it's like that's literally what I thought of. But it's like, no, it's two separate things. Like, brown skinned girls are not given. They're not put on a pedestal. So that's why Beyonce made that song. You're making a song about yellow bone is what he like is just you kind of upholding a problematic ideal. in my opinion. But what I wanted to, but to go back to the question that I asked you, do you feel like there was a time that you benefited from a preference, like a time that a guy ever liked you because of a colorist preference, even colorist or any preference it could be, but do you think colorist preference?
Yeah, because a lot of the guys that I've been with, they said that their type is like my type: curly hair, light skin, short, thick. And it's crazy because one of the guys that I was involved with, they had made a comment. I remember we were talking about, he said something about he couldn't be with a dark skinned girl because they wear weave and they do braids, and I'm like, what? Why? He was like, I don't want to. It's always black men too, because Meek Mills had the same argument talking about he don't like a girl that wear weave or do this. It's like, what? Like, who are you to like? Who are you to comment on how they wear their hair? And for you to say that you wouldn't be with somebody because it's like, what? And then he would say, something about how they want something along the lines of, I don't even remember what he said, but he made a comment on their hair, and I was just like, and that just proved to me. I mean, he said it too, that he liked me for my natural hair, but a lot of the time they don't like black girls for their natural hair, and it's kind of like, that was so like.
Yeah, I agree. Because one thing, because I remember
you had the same hair.
Yeah,
he had the same hair.
He don't think he did. That was the funny part about it. One thing that when you told me this story that I found so funny was that, because like his main argument was like, I don't date black girls because they don't wear their natural hair, they wear fake hair. I remember that was like his argument. You were like, okay, so do Hispanic women, so do white girls, and he's like, not all the time.
Exactly, yeah.
They wear their
Hispanic and white girls, they wear the braids, they wear the wigs, the weaves.
And he was like, yeah, but they wear their natural hair. But then my problem with what he said was like, he was basically saying like, oh, I like Hispanic women because they wear their natural hair. But then it's like, there's also black women that wear their natural hair, but I'm pretty sure you won't like them because you probably don't like natural hair.
Exactly. And then when you think about, why is it that a lot of black girls don't want to wear their natural hair?
I mean, think about it. When you go to a job interview and you have your natural hair, they're gonna look at you funny. When you go not even that, when you just live in a society where they say your curls, your natural hair, your kinks, it's nasty, it's ugly, go straighten it. Like, we both.
That's why a lot of us have to get our hair permed. Exactly. That's why a lot of us have to get our hair permed, suffer from heat damage.
Going up and all that jazz. Like being told, literally, like when you go into a Dominican salon, and because obviously when you straighten your hair a lot, like your curls are dead. And as soon as they see a little bit of curls coming from growing from your roots, it's like, oh, usted tiene crecimiento. You want to do a perm? Oh yeah, we're gonna have. A lot of it does derive from some form of self-hate, because and especially it comes with a lot of black men. I feel like at times when you see that they try to constantly go for women that are lighter skinned with softer curly hair, or white women, it's also because they don't like themselves. They don't like what they see in the mirror.
That just reminded me of Chris Brown. When he came up with his song talking about, I like the black girls with the good hair. Jackie Aina said it best. He tried to front and making it seem like it wasn't like that, making it seem like the people who took it wrong, they were the one that was insecure because they don't believe it. That's gaslighting right there. Jackie Aina said it best. She said, don't try to insult our intelligence. We all know what you meant by that, because look at the women that you go after. Look at their hair type. Look at the hair that they wear. Don't try to make it seem like it's, and then the way that he reacted, I feel like if you didn't want to make yourself look guilty, you did, just by you reacting that way, outrageous, cursing, a whole bunch of stuff, that just made yourself look even more guilty, because you took so much offense to it.
So what
the same thing with Dani Leigh. I don't feel like she was apologetic in her video either. I don't think she was that apologetic, because I don't think she understood what people were saying about what was problematic. Like they just didn't own up to it. And I feel like the first step you could have done was own up to it. Not try to fool us. Like, you're not fooling nobody.
It's not in their face. I think, especially when it comes to colorism, racism, whatever, like how you said, the other isms, like when it's really not in their face, like it's not so direct. People don't understand that those things, like, it's so embedded in our society. Like, it's just so embedded, and people don't, it's not always in our face, and that's the reason why I feel like it's hard for people to understand why things can be problematic. How do you feel when someone has maybe a colorist preference and they say like, oh, like, I'm just attracted to light-skinned women, but they don't downplay like dark-skinned women, or like they say I like white men, but they don't downplay like black men? Like, do you feel like regardless is always going to be problematic, or do you think like, okay, yeah, like have your preference, it is what it is, just don't try to come at another group or say try to look down at another group because you're just not attracted to them?
I think the only time that your preferences become a problem is when you're saying, oh, for example, I can't be with a black girl because she's ghetto, she got attitude. Mm-hmm. First of all, not all black girls have attitude or ghetto. First of all, and there's a whole lot of other people that like to act ghetto too. Second, is also like, because if you're one experience with that person like that, you're gonna put that on everybody. Mm-hmm. So I feel like it becomes a problem when you're trying to uphold one person, you're trying to uphold one group of people over another. That's when it becomes a problem. If you understand, because even so, because I have friends, and I myself have realized there's a trend in the people that we end up attracted to that we ourselves have investigated, and most of the time most of the time, I mean, I would like to say my love life is kind of diverse, but when especially now when I'm looking through my Instagram and I'm like, oh, he cute, oh, he oh, they're usually like light skinned, chubby, tall. They kind of look the same, and that's something like I feel like it should be investigated.
So you don't know like why is that? You like subconsciously you tend to be attracted to this type?
I'm pretty sure it's there's something. I'm pretty sure it all comes from somewhere.
Because I mean I do.
Mm-hmm.
I do agree that it might come from somewhere in this. Because I remember like being young, and like I said before, you know, being in a Dominican household, you know, they force upon us of like dating the white guys, the lighter skinned guys, and I realized that when I was young, all my celebrity crushes were always white, from Zac Efron to Harry Styles. Like, and it wasn't until I feel like my views changed and I was able to kind of like be like, you know what, this thing that my parents were teaching me, that my family was teaching me, like, no, I don't believe in that shit no more. And I was able to open my eyes and now like look at black men, look at whatever. So I think that, yeah, I think at times it may derive from something. That's why it goes back to my original argument that like I don't feel that preferences is natural. Like when people really sit there and say, like, I don't know why I'm attracted, like I just am. I like white guys because I just like white guys. I feel like no. I feel like there's
a reason. Psychologically, I feel like even for different types of, even not even for skin color and race, even to like what they look physically, like even hair texture or like a certain, I feel like all of that comes psychologically, that comes from somewhere. You're attracted to that for a reason. I feel like, I don't know.
Do you think
that's just me? Because I'm thinking about me, like personally, I do feel like I know where they come from. I don't want to say why because I feel like it's a little bit too personal, but I feel like I know why I'm finding these trends and the people that I'm attracted to.
So I was gonna say, do you think? Because we mentioned that the media has a lot to like do with this. Like when you growing up, you would look at movies, TV shows, music videos, magazines, and it's always like whatever is considered pretty is always white. Do you think like when people do have these preferences, like when guys say they want the lighter skinned girls or the white girls, and when guys say that they want a lighter skinned guy or a white guy, is it because like growing up, it was always told that those things are pretty? So, you know, like, think about it. Like, if we watch TV and they keep saying that the white girl, the light-skinned girl is pretty, that a guy watching that is going to be like, okay, so those are the pretty girls. That's a pretty girl. That's the person that I have to, like, go after. That's what, like, it's like, in a sense, like, it kind of brainwashes them into thinking that that is pretty. So when they look into their dating life, they believe, okay, pretty is these type of women. So let me go for these women.
But what do we say for the people who stand outside of that? Like, let's say, like, you have families that are enforcing these preferences or are trying to steer you into a certain preference. But what does it mean when you kind of steer outside of that? Because I feel like I did, but it wasn't because I was consciously doing it to be rebellious. It just so happened that way.
But you just said that you've noticed a certain trend that you still have to investigate. So
yeah, that's true. But I also feel like, and that's what I'm saying, like, I feel like a lot of the time, personally, I can only speak for myself, but I feel like when I'm getting involved with someone or I'm attracted to somebody, I'm not thinking about all those things. Mm-hmm. I'm not looking at this person like, oh yeah, I like him because he's light skinned, or oh he looks good light skinned, he look good with that hair, with that beard, without that beard, with that hat. Like, I'm not consciously thinking about this thing because I'm the type of person, if I'm feeling a vibe, I like people who like me. Like, if I feel the vibe, I feel the vibe. But there is this trend, and I don't know. I think it has to, I don't know. That's something I'm still investigating, something I may know where it stems from. Mm-hmm. But consciously, it's not. I'm not doing it consciously. Is what. Bro. Okay.
You're good.
Yeah. I don't think I'm not doing it consciously when I'm. Yeah.
So then your question is the people that kind of don't agree with those things. But then I guess it's just in a sense that's still invalid, because I feel like whether consciously you may not be looking out for those type of people, and not just you and other people that, like, let's say if you see that one guy that's always dating white girls, or that one girl that's always just dating white guys, or whatever the case is, maybe they don't always just directly say, I want a white guy or I want a white girl. Maybe subconsciously they're just doing it. It's the trend. So I feel like it just comes down to it, that is like, whether consciously or subconsciously we're doing it, I feel like it still affects us no matter what. When something is forced on you, it's going to affect you regardless. But I want to ask a question, because I feel like we keep talking on the topic of when people are attracted to someone that's light skin or white because of them being light skin or white. What about when it's the opposite? When you have like a white girl that says, I only date black guys, or like when you have a white guy that says they only date black girls, like that TikTok thing.
I feel like
when he said that he only dated black girls because of XYZ reasons, like, what about that?
I feel like, like I said, I feel like because we don't live in a perfect world, it's not natural, and it wouldn't. And I also feel like because we don't live in a perfect world, that's why those things seem suspicious. Mm-hmm. Like when a white girl says she only dates black guys, why is that? Where does that come from? Or when a black guy says he only, I mean, we kind of know, but then we kind of know. Like, I don't know. Some people see, like, when white girls go for black guys, they see it as a fetish. Mm-hmm. But for black guys, when black guys go towards the light skinned girls, the white girls is always like, because that's what they're taught, and that's what they're taught are the most, the prettiest and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But in regards to that TikToker, it was Jake, the TikToker. He was talking about, like, he's more attracted to black girls because he can have conversations with them, and they want to see him. They usually want to see him do better, and he doesn't have to put this. He doesn't have to. He said something about he doesn't have to speak like he's a newscaster or something like that.
That was based on
one of the things that I was thinking when I was watching that, I was like, okay, how many black girls and white girls have you been with that you have come to this conclusion? What type of, because it's like, not any, we're not all a monolith. They're all different type of white people, different type of black people. We're all, like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know, what type, like, how did you come to that conclusion?
But then, because that makes
me. If it's only off one, like, just from you going on one white girl, one black girl, I don't think that's enough to come to that conclusion. Because I would want to know a little bit more about that before I even judge him and think, like, what is, like, before I'm not even sure what, I don't know.
I guess that argument is like, is it really experience, or is it just experience being used as an excuse? Because when I think of that, okay, like, because he's not the only person that said it. It's also like when black guys say, like, I don't date black girls because they're, like, you said it before, like, they're too ghetto, they talk with their hands, like, stupid shit like that. And it's like, not all black girls do that. And I always felt that when a black man was to say that, it's not necessarily because he doesn't like her behavior or because she's ratchet or ghetto. It's more so he just doesn't like her because she's black, but he's going to use that as an excuse. So he does, like, you know what I mean? So because it's like, for example, that whole idea of not dating a black girl because she's ghetto ratchet, there's ratchetness and ghetto-ness in every fucking community. Yes, a white girl can be ghetto and ratchet. Yes, and not, like, think about what Hispanic girls, when they be like, I don't like black girls because they have attitudes, but then when a Spanish girl has attitude, oh, she's spicy, I like that, I like that. So that's why it makes me feel like that whole shit about, like, experience, or like, on my experience, like, every white guy I date does this, or every black guy I date does this. I feel like, honestly, it's bullshit. I feel like it's just a fucking excuse to hide the fact of why you really want to date this person. Mm-hmm. It's always going to derive from something.
Yeah.
But that's just,
yeah. So I do feel like our preferences, they're shaped by a lot of the systems we interacted, whether it be in school, whether it be with your family, your friends.
Yeah.
It's inspired by something. Like, I have a friend that she finds herself mostly attracted to light skinned guys. But a lot of the time, those light skinned guys aren't attracted to her because they're more attracted to, their types are more so light skinned girls. So has that ever been a concern for you? Has that ever happened to you before?
I As so far, no. It hasn't happened to me, but I think it hasn't happened to me because I've never been put in a situation, I never put myself in a situation where I would pursue someone. Yeah, like I don't think I actively pursued someone that I thought was cute, whatever the case is, and then they turned me down because of that. Maybe if I put myself more in situations where I'm out here like, oh hey, you cute, like let's go on a date or something, then I'll probably experience it, I'm sure of. But I don't think as of now, no. Like I feel like any person that I have some form of situation or relationship with me is always because they came to me. I ain't here looking for no boys, okay?
So you don't feel like you, so you don't ever feel like you were turned down because of how you look and your race and things like that. But do you think you ever benefited from your race and looking? Mm-hmm.
I think, okay, I will never say color-wise I ever benefited because clearly I'm not the type that's on a pedestal, which is like the white, lighter-skinned women. But I will say when it came to certain preferences, I do feel like for example, me being skinny, I do feel like there was time that I did benefit from that because of the way my body looked or whatever case. I can see the next person that didn't have the body type that's not preferred in society or is not seen as nice in society. I can see why they would have a harder time. One thing I will say that I feel like I did benefit was due to the fact that I am Dominican. I feel like there is a sense of ambiguity that I feel like I did benefit from. Because I feel like it could be a situation where it's like, obviously off rip, people won't even, they'll be like, I'm black. That's that. I'm a black woman. But then as soon as they see my name, Alondra Jimenez, they hear me say something a little Spanish, it's like, ooh, a little interest, like they get a little intrigued. So I feel like in that sense, I think there is parts of my identity that I think I benefited from when it came to dating. But I haven't been in a situation yet where I think like me being a darker skinned woman or whatever the case is that I was turned down. I'm sure there was probably a situation where, I don't know, a guy probably looked at me and I didn't know. He was probably like, oh yeah, like I can't date her, she's black. I'm pretty sure, but I just don't know. But yeah, that's from my experience. But that is real because I know a lot of women that have been turned down simply because they're black, because people want X, Y, and Z. But yeah, that's my take on it.
So it's so essentially there are some preferences where people are just like, that's not really a problem. It doesn't really seem problematic. But there are other preferences that people are like, that's a problem. So why are some preferences more problematic than others?
That's a great question. Because I always think of that.
We've answered it already too.
I always think like, for example, we mentioned earlier, like, oh, I said tall, facial hair. You said tall, chubbiness, whatever the case is. And I don't think anyone's going to look at us, like, wrong and be like, oh, like, what the hell? That's problematic. Like, if I make a song and be like, I like them tall. I like them with facial hair. I don't think no one's going to care. But I think the reason why those preferences are not seen as problematic and, like, somebody saying, like, they want this person because of a particular hair type or of a particular skin color, I think it's because due to the fact that we do live in a society, in a country at that has a racist history, like a racist history, like a history with racism, that in the sense that it's like, anytime someone says things of like, I want the white girl, I want the white guy, you always got to look at them and question like, does that
honestly, I think either way, some people are still going to get offended.
With whichever,
like with your example of like, if I was to make a song about tall guys, it wouldn't bring much of more attention, but I still feel like there will be some people that will probably take offense to it.
I disagree. Yes, obviously, I think the only people that are gonna take offense to are the people that don't fit that type. Like if I say I like a tall guy, someone that's short is gonna be like, oh, she don't like me, all right, then fuck, is gonna get offended. But I don't feel like if I right now would make a song saying I like them tall and I like them with a beard, no one's gonna come at me with that. But if I was to say them, I like them white, everyone's going to fucking rip me apart. So it's just that I do think in society that due to the fact that we live in a country that has a history when it comes to racism, colorism, and all that stuff, all that jazz, I think that's why when people say those type of preferences, they look at them and they question them like, why? Because they feel that it derives from something that's problematic. Because let's be real, can we ever accept the idea that someone just likes a white person or a lighter skinned person just because? Can we really ever come to a place and accept that? No, I don't think we can. For the simple fact that, going back to the argument, in my opinion, I don't feel like preferences are natural. I don't think you wake up one morning and because someone has a lighter tone or a darker tone, your pussy gets wet. your dick gets hard. I don't think it's a natural thing. I really feel like it's a learned behavior, learned ideal, whatever you want to call it.
But I do think it's a combination of those things, like a biopsychosocial type of thing. Because if you do get attracted in that way, that's sort of like what is I think is in psychology. I think it's operant conditioning. Like,
hold on.
The more
you just
like I don't like I always mix them up, but
yeah.
Attracted to those things is because you're constantly being told that's what you're being attracted to. So I feel like it's a combination of all those things. And yeah, I mean, but in the sense of like it's not natural, like it's just I guess you would have to define like natural, like in the sense of just like it's an innocent.
Mm-hmm.
Is it that innocent? Is it cleared from all? Like, is it cleared from the historical context? I don't think so. No. Like its roots is in those historical contexts. I don't think it's rooted in something innocent, something natural, and something separate from all that. I think it's a combination of all those things.
Yeah.
That's been brewing for quite some time now. Because these preferences and these standards, they've been to transatlantic states even before then. It's been brewing. It's been here for a while, and that's why I feel like when people want to say when people think, oh, we're not racist anymore. Racism that belongs. No, isn't everything? Isn't every little thing down to the food you eat?
Yeah.
It's all connected. Everything is connected, and people need to start investigating that a little bit more.
So do you So you feel like because it's learned, it becomes natural?
Not that it becomes natural. I think natural is not the right term. I think that it's because I just think it's a combination of all those things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's say somebody does start like getting hot and bothered over a light skin, like I think, and they think that they're just naturally. I think it's a combination of both things. All those things you learn, how your body is responding to, because your body has been learning to respond to it in that way. I just think it's a combination of all those things.
I think that's
working together.
I really think that's bullshit. Because it's like, hold on, girl, you freezing. All right, there we go. I think that's bullshit. Mm-hmm. Because if you're gonna sit here and say that you like all light skinned men, like you like light skinned men, that's your type. You're not gonna be attracted to all light skinned men. There's gonna be it's like oh my god, it's like when literally people say, oh, like when people say, oh, I only date light skinned girls, da 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 da. But then you see one black girl that somehow she doesn't fit them, and you're like, oh, you pretty for black. Like, I usually like light-skinned girls, but like, you a black girl, but you pretty. That's fucking bullshit. Because if it really was a situation where it's kind of like, I like light-skinned men, I'm going to be attracted to all light-skinned men. Because I am attracted to the color, and that's that.
Because not all light-skinned people look the same, and not all dark-skinned people look the same either.
And honestly, it's not even.
But there are people that would rather look the other way. Oh yeah, she's cute, but she's dark-skinned.
Yeah, but there is going to be that one time. But this is what I will say. They might look the other way in the sense of like, they're never going to cuff that person or bring that person like home to mom or show them off social media because they want what like the rest of society is going to think is beautiful. But deep inside, they're going to be like, oh, she look good. Because there's a lot of, and I know so many people that have the light skin or the person that's more closer to white girlfriend, and they be cheating on her with the black girl. Because the black girl is not the person that they're going to want to show around because she's not pretty in society's eyes, but they're still attracted to that black person. They just don't want to show off because, oh, that's not what everybody else is. Everybody's not going to agree with me. That's why I feel like that whole thing is bullshit. And now I'm not just thinking about color. I also think about the preference. Like when we're talking about the whole tall and facial, to be honest, my preferences is fucking bullshit too. Because best believe there's some short people out here that I think is really fucking cute. So you know what I mean? So it's just like, preferences is bullshit. It's learned. It comes from somewhere.
And that's why I don't like to have. I don't like to think I have any. I don't like to have any. I just feel because I'm me. I'm over open-minded person. I like people.
Period.
So if I like that person, I'm not gonna look the other way because they nose shape funny, their ear looks funny, they a little shorter than I'm not that tight. Like I'm really not. I can't because it's kind of like, especially if we're talking about things that people like. If we're talking about things like it's a part of their being. It's not something that can change. It's not something they can fix. Like who am I to say I can't be with you because of all these things that are some like all these things. Like, come on, like that's not my vibe. Yeah. It's not right. I don't think it's right at all.
I guess I'll just say moral.
That's why I feel like I never when all those preferences been enforced, I've always just been like,
it's stupid.
Consciously, I've been like,
yeah.
I don't ever took it. I don't ever. I'm pretty sure I took advantage of the privilege I have as a light-skinned person, but not knowingly. I don't know. I don't purposely use how I look to get what I want.
Right.
But I know that I've taken those. I probably took. I have privilege. I have privilege because of it in some way. But I don't knowingly know because I'm light-skinned. So I'm gonna come up with a song called Yellow Bone and shove in people's faces.
Moral
But anyways,
of the story is people just date whoever based on personality and what's in the inside. Preferences, like honestly, now just having this conversation, I'm starting to think like even the preferences, the small preferences that I may have is just fucking stupid. Like who gives a fuck? If the person loves you and treats you right, does it really matter what they look like?
and you.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. Go, no, girl, you gotta finish
saying,
that. You got no sleep tonight.
And you never really end up with people who you.
That's another thing. You never end up with your type.
Most of the type you never end up with your type anyway.
But yeah.
What's this next? What are we moving on to, Alondra?
So we are gonna introduce 2 segments that is gonna be a part of our podcast. One of them being In Alondra We Trust. So as you guys know, I work in television development. I'm very much into television, film, all that jazz. So for this segment, I'm going to be recommending, I guess, just anything in film or television, actors, movies, whatever, you name it. I'm going to recommend it to you guys that I feel like you guys should watch. And we're going to call it In Alondra We Trust because you guys should trust my opinion and my recommendations. So for today, I'm going to recommend my Instagram page called The Tavalic at The Tavalic, TVOLIC. And pretty much is an Instagram page that I made that goes kind of beyond the art of television because I am like a television TV show fanatic. So specifically for this month, especially since it's Black History Month, yay. Girl, you know what?
Happy Black History Month.
Hold on, pause in the program. You interrupting the program. You know what the fuck happened to me and Brian on that fucking site? What's it called?
Omegle?
Girl.
Omegle or whatever.
We were, okay, this is just a funny little story. We were on that site and we was like, I think we was like, what did we put for our search? I think like country people or something. Why some white girl got on the call, right? And she just sees me with my melena, Brian right here, and she goes, I love you guys. Happy Black History Month. I love you guys. Yo, I swear to, me and Brian was like, ah. Yo, it's like she took a minute to realize we was Black. She was like this, she was like, I love you guys. Happy Black History Month. I don't even know if she was just being one of those.
Was she being sarcastic or was she just like...
We don't fucking know.
But sometimes white people be trying hard like that.
They do be trying hard, but a part of me was like, this bitch was probably fucking being sarcastic. But a part of it was like, I feel like she was trying hard. But I don't know, because there was no need for all of that. Like, me and Brian was like, all right. And he just skipped the thing. But that was just a funny little story. But back to, yes, it is Black History Month. And on the Tavalic, I'm going to be doing things like Black Women in Television Wednesday, Black Men in Television Monday, and recommending just anything in film or television that is centered around Black people. So that's one thing. And the second thing I want to recommend is also because Valentine's Day, we're going to upload this episode right before Valentine's Day. So I feel like everyone should watch the movie Premature, directed by Rashad Ernesto Green. I really like this film. It's based on a couple in Harlem. One of them is a young poet and the other one is like an older aspiring musician, and kind of they have this summer fling. It is one of the first love stories that I feel like I was able to really relate. Like it had me in tears and everything, because I think it's like you see yourself in it. It's about Black love in Harlem, in New York. I'm from New York, so those are the 2 things I'm gonna recommend for In Alondra We Trust. So Dio, you have anything to say?
Let me put you on. So for my segment, I'm mostly gonna be sharing some resources with you guys, some resources you guys can tap into. So Alondra's more on the creative side with the TVs, the movies, and all that jazz, and I'm more with the something like I guess something more tangible, like some resources that you can use and things like that. So for one, I'm gonna recommend me and my colleagues' Instagram page. It's called Social Workers for Justice. So that's Social Workers 4 Justice. And we came up with this Instagram page in the beginning of the pandemic because I think one of my colleagues and another person, I feel like they're the ones that came up with it, because I think they were just like they was on FaceTime, like how we be on FaceTime, and they was like ranting about all the things that are happening, and they felt like they needed to do something, so they included us in on this, like kind of like this project. And so we have this Instagram page to kind of update people on any announcements on COVID or any resources that are out there. We use that page to kind of connect people to those things. But I also want to recommend to you guys to Erica Hart and Ebony Donnelly's Instagram page. Well, I heart Erica. She has an Instagram page. On that Instagram page, she is partnering with her partner Ebony Donnelly, and they're running this Black History Month. They're running this series called Black People Tell Black History, and I definitely think you guys should check that out, especially for Black History Month. They have the realest and the most authentic materials out there, because they're literally putting money into this project by inviting their friends, even for the graphic art, inviting their friends, Black people, to tell Black history. So I definitely think you guys should go check that out, because I got a lot of my gems and knowledge from them. They're pretty great. They also have a whole bunch of other materials, so go check them out. But yeah, that's me putting you on.
Period. Well, guys, that's the end of today's episode. And if you guys haven't followed, please follow our Instagram account, which is the Right to Spaz podcast, literally written like that. So you guys can keep up to date with all the new stuff going on with this podcast. And yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. So whether you agree with us or not, just know we have the right to spaz.
The right to spaz. Period.